is it possible these guys all feel like they're rising? All 5 of the guys you had on your list all moved up from where they were at the beginning of the year. Are we talking about Colt Emerson as somebody who could be a top 3, top 5 kind of prospect eventually? I know, with Felnin Celestine in particular, we've heard that, talent-wise, they think he's better than Julio. Like, what is the upside potential with this group?
Well, Emerson's at 10 right now, so it is certainly within reason to say he could get into the top 5 at some point, again, with kind of the natural attrition. Jackson Holliday is not going to be on this list much longer.
Right.
In fact, he was only on it right now because he happens to be in the minors at the moment. He's going to come up again at some point this year and graduate. And a couple guys ahead are going to end up getting off this list before Emerson, but maybe before he even gets to AA. And I would agree that Celestin is the other guy in their system who has that sort of top 10 overall potential. And that happens. The Nationals, I believe, right now have 2 guys in my top 10. The Tigers have done that pretty recently. The Rangers did it this offseason with Evan Carter, who graduated, and Wyatt Langford, who is off the list right now because he's in the majors. He's going to graduate in a moment. He's going to have too many at-bats. So it happens. It is not unprecedented, but it's also, I would argue, extremely good sign. And the fact that they have a couple other guys, like Johnny Farmel is pretty dang good. I saw him as an amateur, and it's funny if folks who remember my pre-draft report, it's like, I hate the swing and I still love the player, which says a lot. Like, I think this guy's a really, really good hitter and a good player, despite the fact that you would never, ever want to teach a kid to swing the way that he does. He's so athletic and his hand-eye is so good. I'm like, forget it. What's the line from Animal House, right? Forget it. He's rolling. Just don't even touch him. Until he struggles, and he may never struggle, just let him keep going. Could he end up a top 20, 25 prospect, particularly because he's a really good center fielder also? Yeah, I think he could. That'd be a heck of a trio at the top of the system.
It's pretty incredible. So if you are Jerry and Justin and the trade deadline is approaching and they need help, I mean, they need bats and they should be in play both for the sort of professional hitter that moves at the deadline and also potentially for a star-type player, whether that's a Vlad or a Alonso, whatever the case may be. Who are you absolutely not trying to move, and who is a really good, valuable chip that would hurt, but you'd be willing to give up in order to try to get back what you need?
And I think if you're talking about Emerson's the only guy I would say we're not trading him. There's too much upside. He's too advanced. I think he's going to move really, really quickly. I can't imagine the player who would justify doing that. I think anybody else has to at least be in discussion depending on who you're getting back and how long you're getting them for, right? I'm not trading Felnin Celestin. Probably not trading him at all, to be honest. But I'm certainly not trading him for a rental. But if I'm getting a core position player, maybe who has 2+ years of control remaining, I'd consider it. Yes, I think Celestin's a star, but you got to win now, too. There is absolutely a value to getting players who help your club right away. And as much as I love Celestin, especially not, I mean, the whole thing with him was we got to see him play, right? He finally got out. He's playing unbelievably well. He may be a superstar, and maybe you just really don't want to trade him either. But I've been in the front office, so you can't go into this discussion and say, here are 8 players we're not trading. Well, then don't come, right? Don't come to the party if you're not willing to dance.
How about Las Montes? He's not in your top 50, but I wondered how far away guys like him or Ty Pete or even Logan Evans, which sounds like is going to hit the big leagues in a couple of months here, or maybe even a month.
Yeah, he's really good.
How far away are those guys from being top 50 kind of names?
So Evans is probably the closest, and I mean, what a job. For folks who don't know him, I encourage you, go look at his baseball reference page and look at his performance in college. I think he had a 7 ERA. They took him in the 11th round, and he is a legit mid-rotation starter prospect. I saw him in spring training. I was like, how does that happen? I mean, it's a great job by their area scout.
Brian Wu Part 2.
Montes. Yeah, yes. Better, actually. Comparing the two at about the same stage, I would put Evans over Wu, and Wu obviously has worked out fantastically.
Wow.
Montes, I'm not a fan. You're hoping for the 99th percentile outcome that he's Jordan Alvarez, right? Most guys like that underperform. It's a straight DH. It's a bad body. I do not think it's that great of an approach. He hits the ball extremely hard. And obviously we really value that in the sport right now. He is going to be among the exit velocity leaders. I think he already is in the minors. He will do so when he gets to the majors. But the bar for a DH like that to hit is really, really high. Ty Pete's kind of the other end of the spectrum. It's all athleticism. It's all upside. He is, and they knew this at the time of the draft. He was the least polished of those 4 high school guys they took last year. He's punching out, last I looked, it was about 28% of the time so far. It's actually better than I would have expected, but also kind of an indication like there's work to do here. He's the slow mover, and that's fine, right? If you've got Emerson racing up and Farmelo racing up, and Smith is definitely, I think he's ahead of expectations. Pete is the guy you say, we're going to go real slow with him. We're going to he's going to spend the whole year at low A. We've got things we need to work on. I just still like him, but I think he is far enough away. We talked about upside. There's also probability, right? What are the odds this guy makes it at all?
Right.
He's the lowest probability of this whole group of teenage prospects, including Montez as well, that we've talked about in this conversation. And that's okay. It's good to mix in some of those guys too, but you've just got to recognize he will always be a bit behind his peers. He was younger, and he was just a less experienced, less polished hitter.
So last thing for you here, and then I'll let you be on your way. And by the way, we've got to do this again. It's been way too long since we've chatted, and I forgot.
They have prospects to talk about now.
I know, but it's still been too long.
Have so many.
You're fun to talk to, and I always forget about that. So we need to make sure we do this more often. But if you are in that front office and you know you need hitting, who are you identifying at this year's deadline? I mean, do you like Bichette? You mentioned guys with a little bit, position value rather, and always a little bit of controllability. Do you like Vlad? Do you like Luis Robert on this roster where you already have Julio? Do you like Alonso? Like, where would you be turning if you were Jerry and Justin?
Well, Alonso, he's a rental, right? Yep. So if you could do that, I think he's a great fit. He might be the easiest fit of all. Lowest price, absolutely gives them what they need. I think you get big production out of him, even if it's 2.5 months. Luis Robert is the guy where, he's a little bit of a mixed bag because he does get hurt a lot, and that is a little scary, but you have some control left at pretty good prices, salary-wise, relative to what his production is. I'd be willing to put together a pretty competitive offer for him. Vlad is the big wild card of all these guys because someone needs to get him and change him, right? He is a much better player, should be a much better player than he has been the last, 2.5 years now. And some of it is swing related. And I've talked to Blue Jays guys who say he's such a natural hitter. It's very tough to get him to make changes to his swing. He's not a very mechanical, go to the video room and make little tweaks type of guy. That's not the ideal trade deadline acquisition for me, right? That's the guy you pick up in the offseason and say, we are going to spend time with him to try to get him back to that one year he was second in the MVP voting, and it looked like he was going to be a perennial all-star. I would like to believe that player is still in there. I don't know that I want to get that guy on July 30th and figure we're not going to get great production from the last 2 months. Anybody you get at the deadline, there has to be the idea he's getting us into the postseason and helping us in the postseason this year. And I don't know that he's in that category.
It's great stuff, Keith. I really appreciate it. Good to talk to you. People should read the column, the new rankings. They're up at theathletic.com. And Keith does awesome work and has for a long, long time. We'll talk soon. Thanks, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.